Ready.
Good morning, everyone. At this time, I would like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order and ask our board members to identify themselves for the record as I call your name. Todd Ferrante.
Present.
John Andes.
Present.
Bill Buchanan.
Present.
Bill Gordy.
Present.
Donald Smack.
Present.
Nate Passwaters. Nate is not here today, however, we do have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve today's board meeting agenda?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Bill Buchanan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Now, can I have a motion to enter into closed session?
So moved, Bill Gordy.
Thank you. A second?
Second, Todd Ferrante.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now going into closed session.
let us know.
As we reconvene, Board of Education open session meeting, I want to note we still have a quorum. Additionally, I want to remind both our board members and our audience that this is being streamed live with both audio and video, and conversations in the audience may be audible on live stream, so please be mindful of that and limit any unnecessary conversing. A closed session meeting was held today pursuant to the general provisions of Article 3305B of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Reasons to approve closed session minutes from the previous month. Section 3305B1 to discuss appointments, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluations of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. Section 3305B7 is to consult with legal counsel. Sir?
Okay, at this time, we were going to have, before President McComas calls for the invocation, I'm going to ask that we stand and have a moment of silence for Deputy First Class Glenn Hilliard, who passed away tragically last Sunday evening. As some of you may or may not know, Mr. Hilliard's children attended our schools, one at Berlin Intermediate School and one at Steve Decatur High School. And today is a day of remembrance for him as they are at his funeral right now. And so I ask that our school system family please observe this and observe this family in a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you all.
We're going to stay
Father,
standing.
we're going to stay standing. Absolutely. Father Solomon, would you lead us in invocation, please?
Let us pray. Holy Spirit, amen. Good and gracious God, source of all wisdom and truth, we thank you for the opportunity to serve the students, parents, staff, and faculty of our county. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service and a time of peace. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. And we ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Father. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. So appreciative. As we move on, can I get a motion to approve the open session board minutes for May 17th, 2022?
Motion?
A second?
Second, Bill Buchanan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. I'd now like to open up the floor to my fellow board members in the event you have any comments.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two things I'd like to share with the board. First of all, I was very fortunate to attend the Fly Like a Girl activity at the Salisbury Airport. It was absolutely phenomenal activity for our young girls in grades 3 and 4 from Shaw Elementary School. And I want to especially commend and thank Ms. Zinti. She's a teacher at Worcester Technical High School who organized the entire event for Fly Like a Girl. So thank you to Ms. Zinti and the entire team. I know personally I did not try to fly any of the drones during the Drone Olympic because I did not want to embarrass myself. But thanks to the parents and particularly the students who participated, and also to the after-school program people who made this entire experience possible for these young ladies. Secondly, I'd like to recognize someone in the audience today, and that's Mr. Steve Price. Mr. Price will be retiring at the end of June, and I want to thank him and commend him for using his time and talents in a variety of capacities in Worcester County Public Schools. We are all better for having Mr. Price be a part of our staff, whether it's at Stephen Decatur High School or here at the central office. So, Mr. Price, thank you very much. I wish you the very best, and we will always keep you in mind. And please remember, we have a shortage of teachers, and especially substitute teachers. The application process is online. Thank you, Mr. Price.
It's been my pleasure to serve with all of you over these years. We are blessed to have you as our leadership team. Thank you again.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Madam President, if I may, I'd just like to talk about the graduations that took place a couple of weeks ago. They were incredible, and I didn't get to attend all of them. I attended 3 of the 4, but they were very nicely done, and all the principals and staff need to be commended for the job they did, as well as the students, because the last couple of years has been very, very difficult for everyone involved, including the teachers, support staff, and everyone, and they've done a fantastic job. And if you attended any of the graduations, it was there were a lot of joyful moments to see those students cross the stage. So I just wanted to say how much we enjoyed them, and we thank everybody who put them together.
Thank you.
Madam President, I'd like to add something also. She wasn't here when she just walked in. As you know, we just talked about Mr. Price, but Ms. Diane Stoltz is here today. She's got to make a board presentation at her last board meeting. But I want to recognize, as Dr. Andes did with Mr. Price, Diane Stoltz. Diane Stoltz has been with us for 37 and a half years, Diane? I think I remember that right. And she has done anything and everything that we have asked her. She is our board historian. When we all don't know something, the first name that pops to all of our minds is Diane Stoltz, and we run to Diane. Diane has taken on jobs in this system for years that really was not in her expertise, but always did it with a smile and said she would do her very best, and she did her very best, sometimes having to research the answers herself. So Diane, on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank you. We've been in this together for a long time. And you are going to be missed. And you have truly been a professional, a leader, someone that has made their mark, not just on the school system, but on the kids of Worcester County Public Schools. So I wish you well. We wish you well. And again, we thank you for the job that you've done here in Worcester County Public Schools. And we wish you good health and Godspeed. Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
Okay, any other board comments?
Yeah, Madam President, I had the opportunity last week just to stop by Pocomoke High School during the day. I like to kind of step in just to see what's going on, and one of the things that always impressed me, and rightly so impressed me that day, was with all the tragedy that's been going on in schools across this country, and law enforcement having to deal with that problem. The resource officers that we have in Worcester County are to be commended. It was absolutely satisfying and a feeling of safety, because the first person, you know, when I went through the door, when I got buzzed in, was the resource person, Heath Calgar. I'll tell you his name, Heath Calgar. Not only did I have him as a student way back when, but he was very, very professional, and he does that every time that I show up into the school. And not only Pocomoke High School, but Pocomoke Middle School and Pocomoke Elementary School. So I just want to do a little shout out for our resource officers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I would understand that Deputy Calgar was a student in the criminal justice program here next door, so it's really great to see him come full circle into Worcester County.
Well, you taught him well.
To Steve and Diane, I've been knowing you all a long time. And I wish Godspeed to both of y'all and your families. And enjoy your retirement, Steve. And you too, Diane. I love you both.
Any other? Thank you all. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. McComas. I know I said this, excuse me, last month, but I am truly surprised how quickly this year has gone by. It's been a fast year. On Friday, as all of you know or may not know, we said goodbye for now to our students and our staff. And of course, earlier in June, we said goodbye to the class of 2022. As Mr. Ferrante said, 3 outstanding graduations. But just as quickly as our halls emptied last week, we are already gearing up to welcome students back for our summer academies. Beginning next Monday, which is June the 27th, all our schools will open their doors for the 5-week program where students will get hands-on learning across content areas like literacy, mathematics, the arts, STEM, and health and wellness. It's sure to be a phenomenal experience for all of them, and I'm looking forward to visiting our summer programs as they kick in gear. Now, while we are all tentatively hoping that this pandemic is fully in our rear view, our work on recovery of learning as a result of the pandemic is still very much our focus and has to be our focus. So while the past 2 summers have been spent really painstakingly planning our responsible return plans, we look forward to shifting this year's planning to reevaluation to closing those achievement gaps that were created or widened as a result of the pandemic. Additionally, we are putting a laser focus on wellness in the coming year, not just for our students, but also for our employees here in Worcester County. And before I wrap up my report this month, I am very happy to announce another great success this year. The collaborative work on the FY23 budget, which is slated for final adoption by this board later in the meeting. Our hard work and open communication among our leadership, our associations, thank you, Beth, the Board of Education, and the county commissioners continues to make this budget planning process a successful one. This is the 6th year in a row, if you can believe it, that our school system budget was fully funded by the county. And I will tell you all, it is the largest COLA that we were able to receive for our employees in 15 years. This is never an easy task, and it required a lot of proactive work on the parts of our finance department, and I want a special thanks goes out to Vince and his team for the work you did, Vince. Vince stood beside me day in and day out as we worked with elected officials to prepare this year's budget, and I appreciate his knowledge, his expertise in explaining things that sometimes were deeper than I was able to explain. I also want to thank our leadership team, the Board of Education, and the county commissioners. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone involved for doing their part to give our students the best education we can provide. In Worcester, we do what's best for kids. We serve, and oftentimes it is thankless and difficult work. But it is who we are, and it is what sets Worcester County Public Schools apart. So again, I want to thank everyone. It was a great budget season, and we certainly are appreciative to all who participated. So again, thank you all, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mrs. McComas.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We're going to move now to our student representatives' reports. Please, I really would like to welcome our 3 new student representatives who are going to be representing us this year from June to next May, and we are thrilled to have you all here. So with that said, I'm going to try, okay? We're going to be starting with Arivir Sangwan. Thank you.
Good afternoon and happy first day of summer, everyone. While the sun sets on another school year, new things are dawning at Stephen Decatur High School. Let's begin by recapping all the awesome events and happenings during the months of May and June. First, our amazing class of 2022 was offered over $7 million in scholarship money to various 4-year colleges and universities, 2-year community colleges, and various trade institutions. On May 25th, our seniors participated in the 3rd annual Boardwalk Processional, where parents, teachers, and the student body, and hundreds of community members came out to cheer them on. On June 1st, we celebrated 301 graduates, 63 of whom graduated with honors and many more donning garb from the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta Math Honor Society, Rho Kappa Social Studies Honor Society, the National English Honor Society, and the National Technical Honor Society. We also welcomed back SDHS Class of 2011 alumni, Dr. William Brian Bishop, who served as a commencement speaker. Fireworks capped off a very special evening. Domination was the name of the game for our sports teams, which soared through district and conference play and made their mark at the state level. Stephen Decatur spring teams participated in 5 Bayside Conference Championship games, earning the title in softball, baseball, and men's tennis. Softball went on to collect a regional championship, and the men's and women's tennis teams combined to win the district. At the state level, the sophomore men's tennis double team of Matthew Beck and David Janney placed 4th in state, while singles tennis player Noah Fisher earned 2nd. Also, senior Owen Mielnik placed 2nd in the state in the men's pole vaulting competition. Last but not least, our bocce ball team earned silver at the district level and placed 4th in the state. We are super proud of all our athletes, especially the 150 and counting who earned Minds in Motion. To finish the school year, we conducted school-wide class and student government association officer elections, published the first print copy of the school newspaper, The Hawk, in nearly 10 years, continued our green initiatives as a Maryland certified green school, saw many students volunteer in the community, and our NJRTC program placed 1st in the county in the drill team competition and were overall winners in the armed, unarmed, and color guard competition. Looking ahead, we are super excited about our upcoming Summer Academy, which features both academic and enrichment programs, including Freshman Boot Camp, Life is What You Bake It, which is a club combining culinary and the arts, and SAT Prep. In closing, on behalf of the student body at Stephen Decatur High School, I'd like to thank our Worcester County Public Schools leaders, our Board of Education, our hardworking teachers, and all other members of the faculty and custodial staff for their roles in making the 2021-2022 school year truly memorable. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not thank everyone here in the room for welcoming student members to the board and giving us a voice. Best wishes for a safe, productive, and happy summer. And on to my fellow student representative from Snow Hill.
Thank you, Arivir. I hope everyone had a wonderful morning. We are now over with the school year, and I'm grateful to say it has been a good one, and I'm looking forward to my senior year of high school. We would like to send out a huge congratulations to all our staff moving on to new positions. On Saturday, June 4th, Snow Hill High School Class of 2022 held their commencement exercise. Of the 80 graduates, the students were offered $3.4 million in a merit-based scholarship. We would like to thank everyone for coming and our junior marshals for their well-doing. From the staff and the students of all of Snow Hill High, we are proud of each graduate and wishing them best in their future plans and cannot wait to see where our Eagles do best, and that is soar. Talk about soaring. On June 14th, our counseling office gathered our future freshman-focused mentors of 2022 23 for a training session held by the Salisbury University's Conflict Resolution Department. Mentors are comprised of a diverse group of upper-class students who are positive role models in our school. They participated in team-building exercises to help increase communication, motivate them to work together, and engage in problem-solving activities. The counseling office wishes everyone across the county a happy and safe summer. As usual, Snow Hill High School will continue hosting mediations of all academic subjects, one-on-one tutoring, and credit recovery options this summer. We continue to offer outdoor learning as well, with the opportunity for students to experience the great nature and explore Delmarva Peninsula while engaging in fun experiences dealing with environmental science. Snow Hill High School is also excited to be running several new offerings in the Academy 100 program this summer. Dr. Phillips and Ms. Baker have designed a partnership between Snow Hill High and middle school summer programs between the band and basketball programs here. The programs create a summer pathway for students to engage in high school band and basketball while students are in the last 2 years of middle school. The band program is with Mr. Ronnie Lee and Mr. Bradley Cross, Snow Hill High School's new band instructor, and students will be brought over to the high school daily from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to work in our building in partnership to connect the two band programs. They are also doing this with our students interested in basketball using Mr. Sean Johnson as the instructor, who will be offering basketball and more to our students, with speakers and trips tailored to the interests of our youth in the basketball program. Snow Hill High School has incorporated 2 LASSIS programs, a boater safety and certification course where students learn about safety on the water and finally earn a boater's license. And in partnership with the Worcester County Recreation Department, we are linking students with their swimming lessons at Shad Landing and facilitating these for our students who are interested. We are extremely excited about many offerings and programs and hope the community finds something beneficial in Snow Hill this summer. At last, June 23rd marks the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Throughout the month of June, our athletic department has been spotlighting female coaches and share their inspiration for coaching and participation in sports. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope everyone has a fantastic summer. I will now turn it over to McKenna Selby from Pocomoke High School.
Thank you, Jay. And good afternoon, everyone. We are so proud of the Pocomoke graduating class of 2022 and are grateful for the family and community support for all senior events during the month of May. Intent Night was a celebration of not only each senior's post-secondary endeavor, but of the staff that inspired and motivated each one along the way. Graduation was nothing short of spectacular as this amazing class accepted their diplomas. As the 2021-2022 school year ended, it was a time of reflection. While this year posed some challenges, it also taught students and staff life lessons about perseverance, resilience, relationship building, and the incredible value of extending kindness and grace to one another. Currently, Summer Academy registrations are at an all-time high. Over 100 students signed up to attend, and we continue to accept registrations. We're offering courses for our future teachers in our Race to Teach program, as well as multiple other offerings. We will also be taking weekly field trips that include tours of colleges and universities. We're excited about a new program this year, a boater's license class. This will be free to all participants. The Pocomoke Boys and Girls Club will be meeting every day from 3 to 7 p.m. We are thrilled about this growing community program designed for students in 7th and 12th grade. We have been working closely with elected officials who are helping to ensure that a community center is built in Pocomoke, which is where the Boys and Girls Club will eventually call home. Pocomoke High School students and staff are grateful for the continued support of our Board of Education and executive team. Thank you all, and now back to Ms. McComas.
Thank you all. That was a wonderful job. We are so excited to have you here, and we really appreciate the fact that you have made this commitment. Thank you so much to all 3 of you. We are now going to move on to recognizing audience members joining us today. Do we have anyone present from WCTA?
Good afternoon,
Hi,
Beth.
WCESPA? Worcester County Retired School Personnel. Representatives from various schools. Thank you, Beth. We appreciate you being here. Moving on to individual comments. All individuals who have signed up to address the Worcester County Board of Education may do so for 1 to 2 minutes regarding information, commendations, or concerns which may need future board attention. Concerns that are specific to an individual will not be discussed in open session and should be directed to appropriate district personnel for investigation. When you are called to address the board, just please state your name and address for the record. And we have Joan Roach.
Good afternoon. I'm Joan Roach. I live at 402 14th Street, Ocean City. We retired to Worcester County, but I do have 6 great nieces and nephews that are in the Worcester County Public Schools. Good morning and thank you to all of the school board members and staff here today. As you know, Strong Schools Worcester County has been coming to your meetings this year to support all of you as well as all of the educators in Worcester County Public Schools, especially in response to recent negative comments being made during your public comment periods. Strong Schools Worcester County is a grassroots campaign that began in 2021 in support of Worcester County schools as you implement the blueprint for Maryland's future and continue to create a world-class public education system for every student. 2 of our members recently met with Natalie Bennett and Dee Shorts to ask questions about the implementation schedule and to offer support. Please reach out to us as you find ways that the community can be helpful. As a way of introducing Strong Schools Worcester County to all 1,200 teachers and staff, and as a way of thanking them for being the key to student success, we received permission to have one of those certificates distributed to each one of them before the end of the school year. We would like you to have one as well.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for your continuous support of our school system. We very much recognize it and greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And that is the last speaker. Okay. And we will move on. Thank you. On to our curriculum and instruction reports. ESMEC blended virtual program. Dr. Wallace.
Yes, good afternoon. We have Miss Diane Stoll, who will be presenting this afternoon around our ESMEC blended virtual program. This is our program that was available to students in grades 6 through 12, and Diane is going to share a little bit about the tremendous amount of work that she took on in overseeing. This is one of those projects, as Mr. Taylor mentioned earlier, that Diane very willingly took on, and has, I think as far as the program as a whole, students on the whole Eastern Shore had access to this program. I think because of Diane's leadership, our students have done as well as probably anyone in the program. But I will turn it over to Diane, and I will thank you also for your many years of service. I said all the nice things I could say at your retirement, so I don't want to say all that again, but thank you for everything you've done, and I'll turn it right over to you.
Thank you so much for the kind words, as always. The blended learning program, the ESMEC blended learning program was available to all the students. We had about 300 to 400 students, I think, at any time throughout the, I think 7 counties participated of the 9 on the Eastern Shore. With Worcester County, we had, and I'm just going to do some quick numbers for you. There we go. We had 69 students that participated in total in grades 6 through 12. 6 6th graders, 10 7th graders, 11 8th graders, 7 9th graders, 14 10th graders, 14 11th graders, and 7 12th graders. We had 23 students leave the program throughout the time. That included, we had students who, 13 students returned to school, some of them by choice. We had some students who were only in about a week and said, oh, this is not for me, can I please go back to school? We let them. So, because it is a very rigorous program, it's very reading intensive, the students have to be self-starters and they have to be self-motivated, so it is not for every student. We had 3 go to homeschooling. Many of them had come from homeschooling and realized the program was much more rigorous than what they had been doing at home with a parent. And we had 7 who transferred out of our district. We also had 5 students who graduated through our program this year. Many of the students came to us last year whenever we started the program. We said, Mr. Taylor said, anyone who wants to participate can participate. So that's why we did have some students who decided that wasn't for them when we did that. We really didn't use a lot of criteria. What we did find out is that we needed some criteria for our students. They had to already be academically successful. They had to already be attending school and engaged in their education. And so consequently this year, what we're looking at, they can't have had any D's or F's during the current school year. Their attendance was 95%, not including, because of COVID, not including any medical leave that they were on. And our middle school students had to be reading on their math and reading level has to be on grade level, because if not, we're setting our students up to fail if they can't participate, if they can't do that work. Scheduling was an issue for us. One of the things we did for this upcoming year is add some additional courses for our high school students so that we'd have more electives. So we've added things like Accounting 1 and Accounting 2 and some other computer programs. Testing, our students did come in. I'm anxious to look at the testing to see how our ESMEC students did as compared to our general population. You know, were they able to keep up with their grades? How were their grades compared to how they did on their state testing? All of the students had to participate in state testing. They did not. They were invited to return to school, because it's very important that we see if this program is successful. The ESMEC school calendar is a little bit different from the Worcester County calendar. They start the same day we do, but they finish earlier than we do, just a few days, and mostly that's due to the fact that we have professional development days for our teachers and things like that. So that's why their calendar's a little different. We anticipated about 50 students throughout this coming school year is what we thought about. But currently I got application number 25 today. Tomorrow is when the window closes for our students. Of those, 11 of them are returning students for us, are returning from last year. The students that come, I have asked, of 3 students, we did not do our criteria, did not meet that criteria, so we've already told them that it's best that they return to school. And I've had some other students who have been homeschooled, whose parents want to come to the program, because we've had some homeschool students who came to our blended learning program and the parents raved about it. And one of the things they talked about was the rigor of the program, that they felt their students were really getting what they needed. So that was a good thing to hear from our parents. Same thing for next year again, the attendance requirements are the same throughout the state. They have to turn in notes. If they don't, they have to have their cameras on. Even if you're online, if your camera's not on, you're not in attendance. And that's very important for us to make sure. We are increasing the amount of time that students will have face-to-face. Last year, the requirement was that 20% of their time would be face-to-face. This year, according to some new legislation, we're anticipating 40 to 60% of their school day will be spent face-to-face synchronously with the teacher. Power School is still the official record, so what happens at the end of each quarter, at the end of each marking term, I put in the grades into Power School, so parents are able to see that. Parents can log in anytime on the ESMEC platform, and they can see their students' grades, they can see how many assignments they're missing, they can see the attendance, they can see if they're missing assignments, what the assignment was, when it was due. So parents are very much in tune with what's happening. The grading scales are the same as our grading scales in Worcester County Public Schools. The other thing, again, as I mentioned, can't impress enough how important it is for our students to participate in our state testing, because we need to know that this program is doing what we want it to do and that our students are getting the education that they deserve. And as always, one of the nice things, our students can participate in our summer school programs. I do have some students, some of our students join us in our ESMEC program because of anxiety. We have quite a few students. So one of the ways that we're helping them ease back into school is they participated in, they did some after-school programs. They're doing summer school programs, and we're hoping that eventually those students will be able to return to school. So having that partnership and having them be able to go into the school building because it's less threatening to them is very helpful. They can do, again, all after-school programs, and they do participate in those. I had a student who played football last year. Did remarkably well in blended learning. He was one of our students. He's a fit student, which means that he's, a student who doesn't necessarily have a permanent address. So sometimes he was with an uncle, sometimes he was with a cousin. But because of blended learning, he never missed a day of school because he didn't have to worry about transportation to school each day. So those are the kinds of students, including our students with medical issues, those are the kind of students that this program really serves well. He is returning to school this year, so his situation has changed a bit, and he's very excited about that. Also, the students participate in any special events that occur outside of school hours. So school dances, proms, all of those things, they can still participate in all of those. And I promised I'd be short this week. So, are there any questions about our blended learning program?
What an amazing program. Thank you. I mean, that really does fill a void.
It does. We've had some students, I do think some of our students who have long-term health needs, this is a wonderful program for them. Because they're still part of their school system, still part of the school system, and we can provide other services because they're involved in the system.
And I just want to, I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you for spearheading this and taking this on. I know it was a new task, and it always seems, as Lou said, when somebody's asked to do something new, your name pops up, and you do a great job. And we just want to thank you for what you've done. This is something that will be ongoing, but you've done a great project here, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I can honestly say it was everyone, without the help of our school counselors and our special ed department and Nicole Selby. Everybody pitched in.
Yeah.
We all had a role in it. I just got to do the presentation.
Yes. Well, it is a team effort, but we appreciate what you've done. Thank you.
And I will say, I know my resume looks like I can't hold a job. I never left Worcester County, but there's a lot of things in there. And those of you who are interested, Ms. Cienti is doing a professional development on the drones tomorrow. So if you want to go, it's at Worcester Tech from 8:30 to 3:30. She will show you how to run those drones without crashing them.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you very much.
Diane, I hope you take this as a compliment that the staff asked you to present on your last day of your last board meeting. I think that's highly complimentary.
Right. Actually, they asked me, said, hey, do you make it a board presentation? I'm like, you go to board presentation, then think, by the way, we can have it. Oh.
Well, thank you for.
And what's it about?
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Appreciate it. Our next presentation, and I will say that our K-5 blended learning program will no longer be next year. We've determined that all the K-5 students will return back to face-to-face instruction, and that was a decision made by the superintendent back in March. So moving on now to our next presentation, we have two wonderful ladies up at our front table. One of them is Jennifer Sills, who we've seen as our media specialist presenting this year, but she also wears another very large hat as science coordinator for the system. And I'll let Jen introduce Laura and exactly what Ms. Miller does for you. But they're here to highlight some of our environmental education, environmental literacy issues or initiatives through the system. And it's exciting, all the partnerships that we have in developing these initiatives. So thank you for being here today, and we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. So I'm excited to talk to you with my science hat on. So not only do I do library, but I also do science in our outdoor education and STEM programs. And Laura Miller is with me today. She's not one of the in front of the camera type of people, but I wanted to drag her along today because I think it's important to highlight the work that she is doing. Laura works up at the central office with me. She is our elementary science and outdoor education specialist. So what does that mean? It means that Laura is the one person behind the scenes working to make sure that all of our students in kindergarten through 5th grade have hands-on science activities. She manages an entire warehouse of science materials, makes sure that every lesson in every unit from kindergarten through 5th grade is ready to go so that when the teachers get their unit materials, they can implement these lessons with ease. And she's phenomenal at that. And then 2 years ago, starting in 1920, I asked Laura to also kind of start to oversee and take over our outdoor ed programs. So we have a lot of district-wide programs that we do related to environmental education in Worcester County, and that's to align with our Maryland environmental literacy standards. But we've been doing a lot of these programs for a while, and I asked Laura to kind of help oversee that, and she's, taken it and ran with it. She pretty much coordinates all of the programs that we do on a district level with schools and with our partners. She is in constant contact with our partners from summer all the way to the end of the school year, helps direct the activities, make sure that the schedules run, and she's also on site for most of these too. So that's a really exciting part of the job. So we're going to talk to you a little bit. I wanted to celebrate some of the things we've done in spite of continued challenges this year with very COVID protocol and COVID being a factor in different ways at different times of the year. But we were able to get back to our experiences and trips, which is really exciting. So some of the focuses we have in terms of environmental literacy in Worcester County, we are currently working to develop a district environmental literacy plan. We don't have a formal plan for our county, so we obtained a grant to help us do that, and we have new literacy standards for environmental education. Those are new as of 2020, so we want to make sure that we align to those. Within that, we work to have curriculum-based environmental education in every grade level, and have a MIWE in every grade band. And a MIWE is a meaningful watershed educational experience. And in our area, we are very blessed in Worcester County. We have so much to take advantage of with our environment. Not only do we have, an ocean, so we have the ocean environment, we have the Chesapeake Bay watershed, we have coastal bay watersheds, we have rivers, we have wetlands, we have a huge agricultural industry. So we want to kind of take advantage of all that so that our students can really experience everything that their local environment offers and promote that environmental stewardship and literacy, starting in kindergarten, going all the way through high school. So to do that, we have a lot of partnerships and local connections. We continue to build those every year and add to that list. Some of our major partners, and this is just this year, this list, over the past 2 years, it's been challenging to work with organizations or get kids out of schools or people in schools. But this year, we were able to kind of get back to our partners, get back to our experiences. Maryland Coastal Bays is one of our strongest partners, and we have done so many amazing things with students through Maryland Coastal Bays. Assateague State Park and Pocomoke River State Park are also huge partners. Laura works with all three of those organizations ongoing every month. She's in communication with somebody from one of those organizations. And then we have several others. And this is just this year. These are the ones we were able to reconnect with this year. It's not exhaustive. So next year we'll add back to this list Furnace Town. So we have some things we do with Furnace Town. Ocean Pines Aquatics will be working with us again, the National Seashore. And of course this doesn't include all of the different activities that take place on a school level. Most of our schools partner with not only these organizations, but several others throughout the county for environmental education, but also a variety of other things. We were involved in 3 pretty large grant projects this year in collaborations. The first one is our grant. We have a Chesapeake Bay Trust grant that we obtained last year, and it's a 3-year grant that's going to allow us to develop that district environmental literacy plan and have a really comprehensive environmental and outdoor education program throughout all of our grades. The Living Local project was new this year, and this one probably provided the most experiences for our elementary students. It's with Maryland Coastal Bays, so we're a partner. It's for 2nd through 4th grade students and teachers. The goal is to help foster a greater appreciation of farming and to educate our students about all of the different things that farmers are doing in our area for positive change and to protect natural resources. So that's been an amazing program this year. And then Making the Link is something that Laura has worked on with middle school teachers to establish a middle school MIWE and help train teachers on how to implement some of these educational experiences in a way that aligns not just to environmental literacy, but to our next-gen science standards, which guide our science curriculum.
So even though COVID wasn't a factor, we were able to get back to some of our outdoor experiences. Pocomoke River State Park is our 5th grade 2-day fall outdoor ed experience.
Nice.
Assateague is our experience that focuses on the ocean and the beaches in the fall, coastal bays in the spring, and then during the winter, when it's too cold to be out there, there are classroom activities where Assateague comes into the classroom. The water safety program is for our fourth graders. It's there to provide experiences in swimming and canoeing so that when they go on their 5th and 6th grade field trips, they're ready. And the Living Local program was new this year. It's with Maryland Coastal Bays. It allowed over 250 students in grades 2 to 4 to participate in outdoor experiences with Cross Farm, Masterpiece Flower Farm, and Splendid Farm. And this program also allowed us to bring the mobile ag lab to every 3rd and 4th grader in the county. The Living Local program, I got to go to Cross Farm. I actually live in Selbyville. Cross Farm is in Bishopville. I had no idea it was there, and it was with 2nd graders, and it was just an amazing experience. It was like the kids got so much out of it. They got to see things that, you know, they might not ever see. Same thing with the bays.
Where in Bishopville is that located?
It is, well, it's behind the Shell Fire Department. It's back there. So it's
Oh,
more
okay,
shallow.
yeah, okay, now I know.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it.
The wetlands retreat I'll just speak to, this is new, and all of these experiences, we can have like an entire presentation on all of them. We could just talk to you for the entire day. We're really excited. But the wetland student retreat is new this year with Maryland Coastal Bays. One of their educators approached us and said, hey, we want to do a leadership retreat for high school students, but 9th
Nice.
graders, to like engage them early on. It's focused for kids who don't normally have an opportunity to get outside, maybe explore some of the careers, so kind of underrepresented kids who maybe nobody's targeting for, you know, this kind of experience. So each school nominated 5 high school students, and they had a 3-day retreat, and they were regional. So they started up north, worked their way south, different place every day. They met with different environmental scientists. They learned about careers. They visited different locations. I wish I could bring all the kids here to talk to you about some of the things. Some of them ended up with summer internships and jobs. They've changed their entire career focus based on this retreat. It was beautiful. We'll have some photos you can see in just a minute.
I heard.
Yeah,
when
Nora
they-
was
I
on
heard,
site for all of those. Yeah.
Two of the kids from 2 girls from 2 different schools, one said to the other, it's so nice to be able to talk with a like-minded individual. Like, where do you hear? It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And Maryland Coastal Bays is doing this every year. So this was our first
Yay.
year, and this will continue, and they would build this program out. So just amazing with this partnership that we have, you know, and continuing to maintain those connections to provide our students with some of these experiences. So Laura and I put together, because I don't want to talk more, I talk a lot. We put together a video, and we had to like select just a few photos. We have hundreds of photos from these experiences, but this is just a quick video highlighting some of the activities that we just shared. So hopefully it plays, fingers crossed.
I want to thank you for your continued support of all our outdoor and environmental education programs.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I
Great
can't even
job.
tell you thank you enough. This old science teacher is jumping up in her seat. Thank you. That was
Very
amazing.
exciting. I will say that Marlon Barrett, who you sort of took her seat, I feel like started some of these things. And I can tell you, she was my 7th grade science teacher. And some of these experiences, when I see pictures, I can remember back to middle school when I had those same experiences. So I know they're very, very powerful for our kids, but I know that there are a lot of work on your staff. So thank you too for putting this together for our kids.
Yeah, looking at the presentation that you had there, we kind of take it for granted where we live and how great Worcester County is, and the opportunity for kids to experience this that probably students in the metropolitan area, may only read about or maybe come in contact maybe a small amount of time. And Mr. Ferrante and I want to be chaperones next time.
We're always looking for volunteers.
All you have to do is give us a call. We'll be there. Thank you.
Jen, I also see Beth Shockley Lynch in the audience, who's jumping up and down her seat as well over this science information. But thank you for the work both of you have done and your leadership in this. I see it from afar each and every day, but giving our kids these experiences are second to none, so thank you for that.
And just to add on a little bit, I know, Jen, you're always in the spotlight, and I know, Laura, you prefer not to be, but just know how much we appreciate, even as a former elementary teacher, getting all the materials together and sent to you is a great big deal so that you can do these experiments and provide these opportunities, so thank you.
When I say she's perfected the system, if you ask any elementary teacher, they would definitely tell you, like, they do the science because of how Laura sets it up.
100%.
So she has taken that and really perfected the system, and it's wonderful. And all of these experiences, it's amazing how many of our students, honestly, they're 30 minutes away or less from most of this and never experience it until they get to do it through our school system. So thank you so much for the support, because these programs matter. As Dr. Wallace said, that's what kids are going to remember. They're exposed to this. It inspires them. It's really exciting. This is the fun part of our job.
It's the great part, and I can tell you, as a young man growing up in this area, one of my most favorite memories was when we went on a field trip somewhere and learned about something that we didn't know about that existed in our area. So I looked over at Mr. Taylor and I said, where were all these trips when we were young kids? We didn't have that opportunity. So it's incredible what you're doing, and I know it really sticks with the kids, and they get to learn a lot about what goes on around the area they live in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, both, very much.
And I think Dr. Wallace and I are going to move up front, and we're going to do the next presentation. Yes, please. She cannot sit on my lap. I refuse. This is on the virtual day instructional plan.
It's currently in use.
Can you close your application?
There we go.
And it's kind of sort of There you go. Yay.
All right, so we are going to share with you today our virtual day instruction plan. This is for next school year. As you remember, this school year, we were granted permission from the state superintendent to use some school days that were inclement weather days as instructional days for our students, and we did synchronous instruction during those days. So in a weekly transmittal in May, we were informed that the state was going to approve a virtual day instruction plan for this coming school year. And these days could be used for inclement weather, which is what we've used them in this past school year for, staff professional development, high school graduation days, and various other things. We have, Mr. Taylor has chosen to only use those in our plan as inclement weather days, and it allows us to use 8 of these days. Of the 8 days, only 3 of them can be asynchronous. The other 5 would need to be synchronous. So asynchronous, as if you might remember from our responsible return plan, asynchronous is when work is posted and then students can kind of go on and complete the work at their pace. Synchronous instruction would be when we all are online at the same time, and there's instruction provided. They're not watching a video later and completing a task. They're actually all on there together. So our Mr. Taylor's plan that we're going to bring before you and on his behalf ask permission for is first to use our 3 inclement weather days that are built into the calendar. So we have 3 days built into the calendar. And then after those 3 inclement weather days are used that are built into the calendar, we would like to use then next our 3 days of asynchronous instruction first. And if we go beyond that, then we would use those other 5 days of synchronous instruction should we work through all of those days. And we have had school years where we've missed quite a bit of time to inclement weather. I will remind you that when the pandemic began, if you remember, we were really excited in our board meetings because we hadn't gone through all of our days. So we were like, we got through a whole school year and we didn't have to do any days, and then COVID shut us down for 2.5 years. So, so we had a lot of days. It was just crazy. But we were so excited because we hadn't burned through our days for like the first time ever. But this plan that I've just presented, and Ms. Schwartz is going to continue to talk about some things that have to be a part of that plan, does require your approval today. So we will be asking for that at the end.
As they're transitioning, I also want the board to know that we have also worked with the association, and Dr. Wallace said this is the plan that I chose. There was some other elements that went in, and certainly working with the association and getting their approval, we did as well. So I wanted the board to know that.
Yes. So as Dr. Wallace said, there are certain things that MSDE makes us attest to or say that's going to occur for our plan to be in effect and to be approved. So there are 5 areas. One is equitable access, and we know that since we've gone one-to-one in Worcester County, equitable access is a little bit easier for us, although we do still have areas of our district where internet is more of a concern than having a device. So we will continue to work with students for hotspots and make sure that there's equitable access. Accommodations, obviously we need to remember our special needs students throughout these days. We need to consider our IEPs, our 504 plans, and make sure that our service hours are being made up or utilized. Attendance, we will continue to use Power School when we have synchronous days for our attendance. That means that kids will still log in and we will take attendance through Power School. In the event that we have asynchronous days, we will use students logging on to Schoology in the older grades. In the younger grades, we send home almost like a postage stamp full of activities that they can work on during those asynchronous days, and we require a parent's signature when it comes back, and children get credit for that day being present. Thanks, Nat. Also, we need to make sure that we've engaged, which is why we are here today with you. It's very important that we publicly discuss this at a board meeting and have public comment if available, and that we've communicated, as Mr. Taylor said. I think Worcester County's very good at the first thing we do is talk about Beth and Ivory and making sure that both of our associations are aware of what we're doing. So we've already received their blessings in moving forward. And then at the end, following approval from MSDE, we need to communicate this obviously with our parents. So if you were doing quick math with Dr. Wallace, you noticed that there were 11 days. We have 3 days that were inclement weather, 3 days of asynchronous, and then 5 additional days that we can do synchronous. So those would be up to 11 days that we and obviously posted to our website once it's approved. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Wallace to get everyone's approval and see if there's any questions.
Are there any questions?
All right, the superintendent would request your approval of the 2022-2023 virtual day instruction plan.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the virtual day instruction plan as presented?
Motion?
Thank you. A second.
Second. Bill Gordy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, both of you. We're now going to move on to personnel exhibit. Dr. App.
Good afternoon, Board. I have for you this month's personnel exhibit. And just as a side note, as we want to let the audience know, as in Worcester County, as we have folks resign in our county, we're very fortunate to have enough applicants to fill those vacancies, and that's not the same everywhere. You look in the state or even the nation, so we are very blessed here in Worcester County. Our resignations: Stacy Auckland, teacher, Ocean City Elementary School. Kishara Ballard, educational assistant, excuse me, Snow Hill Elementary School. Natalie Bennett, grant writer, assistant, central office. Solomon Bowen, custodian 2, Stephen Decatur Middle School. Kanita Cartwright, special ed teacher, Snow Hill High School. Michelle Diascoli, cafeteria manager, Buckingham Elementary School. Simona Holland, educational assistant, Cedar Chapel Special School. Tanya Jones, music teacher, Buckingham Elementary School. Samantha Keys, teacher, Shao Elementary School. Kevin Sullivan, educational assistant, Berlin Intermediate School. New hires: Rudolph Ballard III, custodian 2, Pocomoke Middle School. Ryan Berry, special education teacher, Stephen Decatur Middle School. Katressa Fenwick, teacher, Pocomoke Middle School. Tabitha Gilbert Thorpe, educational assistant, Shell Elementary School. Excuse me. Michelle Godfrey, custodian 2, Stephen Decatur Middle School. Carrie Hancock, special education teacher, Buckingham Elementary School. Allison Hartman, teacher, Pocomoke Elementary School. Adrian Hayward, teacher, Pocomoke Middle School. Denasia Jones, educational assistant, Pocomoke High School. Kristen Lee, educational assistant, Cedar Chapel Special School. Deborah McLean, secretary, grade 4, 10-month, Stephen Decatur High School. Emily Martin, music teacher, Buckingham Elementary School. Tyann McKay, social worker, central office. Corey McCluskey, teacher, Pocomoke Middle School. Ashley Mertz, teacher, Pocomoke Middle School. Brian Mills, teacher, Ocean City Elementary School. Kristen Nugent, teacher, Cedar Chapel Special School. Caitlin Peters, educational assistant, Stephen Decatur Middle School. Nevea Arejo, educational assistant, Cedar Chapel Special School. Sarah Sharpley, educational assistant, Buckingham Elementary School. Courtney Stewart, school nurse, Pocomoke Middle School. Brian Vandy Malbrook, educational assistant, Cedar Chapel Special School. Our promotions for this month: Brian Cook, grant manager, central office. Margaret Rogers, teacher, special education, Snow Hill Elementary School. Stacy Russell, special education facilitator for assistive technology, central office. Mary Shockley, school counselor, Worcester Technical High School. Tanika Shockley, secretary, grade 5, 12-month, Snow Hill High School. Ashley Smith, secretary, grade 5, 12-month, Stephen Decatur Middle School. Megan Tatman, secretary, grade 5, 12-month, Pocomoke High School. Leave of absence: Kristen Federoff, teacher, Shell Elementary School. On behalf of the superintendent, I recommend approval of the personnel exhibit as presented.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the personnel exhibit as presented?
So moved. Todd Ferrante.
Second, Buchanan.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We now move on to policy revisions. Dr. App?
Yes, I have the first one for you. And this policy is being revised and updated. A lot of things are being removed from this policy because we simply just do not do them anymore. The policies reflect our current practices. Removed from the policy are sections that reference the credit union, payroll savings programs, and summer savings, which these programs no longer exist within our organization. The superintendent recommends approval of revised policy 3C06, optional salary deductions as presented.
Okay, any comments, questions? Can I have motion to approve revised policy 3C06, optional salary deductions as presented?
Motion?
Second.
Second, Bill Gordy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Wallace?
Yes. I've never in my life been accused of being too quiet, but for the first time today I have, so I'm going to talk into the microphone because earlier apparently they couldn't hear me out there in YouTube land. So before you this morning, or this afternoon, you have a revision to our ethics policy. These revisions were required as a result of House Bill 363 and House Bill 1058. So you will see there that you have that revised policy in front of you. Is there any questions regarding the changes to the policy? Seeing that there are no questions, the superintendent recommends approval of revised policy 1F ethics as presented.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve revised policy IF ethics as presented?
So moved, Bill Gordy.
Second.
Second, Donna Smag.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And I have a couple for you today. So the next policy you'll see there is a new policy. It is a student data privacy policy. MSDE requires that all school districts have a student data privacy policy. And as a school district, we also know, aside from having to have this policy in place, we know that the importance of safeguarding our students' identity. So not only is this required, but we also see it as something important. So before you, you'll see that student data privacy. And as we have increasingly expanded our number of platforms that we have where we have student information, it's just specifically important right now that we aren't sharing that information with anyone, because often, you know, companies will seek out to sort of share out your information with other people. So, is there any questions there around the student data privacy?
What are we setting up that's new?
Do you mean as far as we are not specifically having to do anything new to protect our students' privacy, but we have to have a policy in place.
In place to...
Yes,
okay.
so we are not,
Thank you.
the policy is not requiring us to do anything beyond what we're already doing to safeguard our students.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, seeing that there are no other questions, the superintendent would recommend the approval of new policy 4F07, student data privacy as presented.
Can I have a motion to approve this new policy as presented?
Motion, Todd Ferrante.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Donna Smag.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, and then my last policy this afternoon, before I turn it over to Mr. Tolbert for another policy, is the revised policy around restraint and seclusion of students. The General Assembly passed a physical restraint and seclusion Act, which was Chapter 31, House Bill 1255. That new law went into place, will go into place July 1st, and we are required to modify our policies in order to make sure that we are compliant with these state requirements. And when you hear the words restraint and seclusion, I just want you to know that this policy needs to be in place, and we need to make sure we're following this policy because it's keeping typically our students who have a lot of emotional regulation issues and students who have some other special challenges. This is to keep them safe and keep other students safe while making sure that everyone is doing it the right way. This bill was put in place because some other school districts were found to be in violation of some things. And some pretty big things happened in some other districts. So, including, I believe, a superintendent is no longer a superintendent. So, we just want to make sure Ray and Wendy have done an excellent job of educating all of our staff members around everything that we should be doing to safeguard our students and keep them safe, and not exploit them in any kind of way when they're facing these challenges. So, is there any questions around this policy?
So am I reading this correctly to say that there is no more seclusion period?
Yeah, we will not be using seclusion. Yes, we will not use seclusion. That's correct.
Okay.
And restraint will only be used as a last resort effort in need to keep a student or other students safe, which I will be very honest with you, that is the only time that we should be using restraint anyway.
Well, yeah.
You can imagine the emotional you can imagine the emotional strain it would take on any of us if someone attempted to restrain us. And so that the impact of those restraints on our little friends is very large. So
no, that is huge.
Yeah.
Okay, as a parent of a special ed student, once upon a time, seclusion used to be the way you would work with those autistic students that had really severe emotional problems. And that gave us that time to work with them and get them back out again.
Well, yes, historically, you are correct that has happened places. And I think that one of the things that we're really focusing on, and this is some of our disproportionality work that we're doing, and we have a wonderful team working on all those things that you'll hear a lot about in the coming months, very likely. But we want to know what the antecedent is because we want to make sure that we don't get to that place. We don't want and I'll pick on McKenna because I know McKenna very well, but we don't want McKenna to get in that situation where she feels like she needs to act out or emotionally release something. We want to see those triggers early in McKenna so that we can be like, hey, McKenna, let's put all these strategies in place so we don't get to a place where someone would ever feel like they needed to restrain her or put her in what we would call like a cool down area that has some sensory. There's rooms that have sensory rooms where there's like the swings and the the blankets that are heavy that they can wrap themselves up in because a lot of the things are sensory. So we do have sensory spaces in our school that we can use, but
That's
we can't.
what I'm asking.
No one wants anyone to be, locked in a room.
We're not.
So
okay.
yes, that's what anyone should be avoiding. So we don't have those spaces.
It
in
really
our
is
schools.
just shutting down sensory input for some of these children, and I get it because
Yes.
I lived it. So
Right.
I'm just trying to make sure
We still have sensory spaces within our building where a student can go, but they're not shut in any of those, in any of those spaces.
Okay.
They're just allowed to go in there and release their whatever they need to do in a safe space.
That's
Yes.
exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah,
And
and
I
every student is different what they need to release that. So, our rooms at different schools don't all look exactly the same.
Okay.
Dr. Wallace, who in the schools are trained in restraint, physical restraint?
We have been using CPI, but now we are using, and Ms. Schwartz, I cannot think of what the term, if you gave me $1 million right now, I couldn't think of it. But what we are really trying to avoid is restraint in any sort of way, even a CPI. We don't want to be doing that. So we are taking our teachers to like a state-of-the-art training, I want to say in West Virginia, in the next couple weeks. CPI people, what we have asked for is that to be like administrators. There could be like a lead special educator person or somebody certainly if somebody has like a one-on-one, they should have been trained in that. But we really want to avoid restraint, so we kind of want to say it needs to be an administrator, because then we know we would only be using it as a last resort. Because that keeps the student and the staff member safe. Unfortunately, when you're not doing the correct CPI hold, a lot of times our staff can get injured as well as the student. But I wish I could think of the name of what it is, but we're doing this new training where we will put our staff will put themselves in situations where we hopefully won't need to restrain a student. We'll just keep our distance, and there's some strategies that they'll learn, because we really don't want to be restraining anyone, even as a last resort. We want to, I mean, the key is, it's just like discipline. The key is that you see the triggers in the students, you know them well, so they never get to the point where they need to act out in order to release that energy. That's it. Yukuru. That's it. Thank you. Yes.
And Bill, due to this training that Dr. Wallace and Carrie just said, it's a lot different than it used to be. We very seldom have to use restraints now compared to even back when I started. Because as Dr. Wallace said, our staff is so much more trained in early intervention of the triggers, so to say. But certainly restraint is used so that the student and or staff member or anyone else can't be harmed. So that's kind of the last resort. Our teachers are doing a great job in recognizing those early intervention type things that they can do prior to it getting to that level. So I'm not saying we don't have any, but the number is greatly decreased over the years.
And in previous years past, and not necessarily in this school district, but that has also been like written into students' IEPs, and that's not something that we'll be writing into anyone's IEP around restraint, because it shouldn't be a strategy that we want to go to. So we won't be putting that in the IEP.
Okay.
All right, well, pending no further questions, the superintendent would recommend approval of revised policy 4C16, restraint and seclusion of students, as presented.
Can I have a motion to approve this revised policy as presented?
Motion?
Thank you. Second?
Second, Todd Ferrante.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. And then finally, policy, Mr. Vince Tolbert.
Yes, Ms. McComas. Back in the 2021 legislative session, the legislature passed House Bill 630, which requires all school systems to adopt an energy policy. That policy needs to address the purchasing, the conservation, and the efficient energy use of energy in your school buildings. You see a sample policy, what we're proposing for the board to adopt, that includes those things. It also includes certain reporting of energy uses on a square foot basis. So that's in front of you for approval today. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Thank you. Can I have any comments, any questions? Can I have a motion to approve new policies?
Hold on.
Sorry, go for it.
No, I was just going to comment that we're fortunate that Worcester County, as well as other school systems on the shore, participate in the Eastern Shore Maryland Education Consortium Energy Trust, which was established in 2001, which helps us control the increased cost of electricity on the shore. And Worcester County Public Schools has been one of the leaders in the ESMEC Energy Trust. So I just want to commend Vince as a trustee of the Energy Trust and the members of the Energy Trust who do everything they possibly can in brokerage of energy to assure that the increased energy costs, because we all know the price goes up when you're talking about electricity, is kept to a minimum.
Thank you, Dr. Andy.
Thank you, Dr. Andes. So can I have a motion to approve new policy 7A11, energy policy, as presented?
So moved, John Andes.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Donald Smite.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. McComas.
We are on now to Board of Education meeting schedule.
Yes, and this is also another action item. Before you, you will see a calendar that the superintendent, along with his staff, has developed for the 2022-2023 Board of Education meetings. As you can see there, there is one night meeting which is scheduled in July, which is next month. So is there any questions or conversation around the proposed board meeting calendar?
Dr. Wallace, I would add that, obviously, one of the reasons that we have day meetings, and we've told everyone before, is to make sure that we can have the students' participation in both recognition and participation, that they see the new presentations made by our classrooms. And since we're looking forward to next year, I would make a motion that we continue to have some night meetings. At least we'll have one more in March for the upcoming year. It seemed to work well. We gave other people an opportunity to come out and speak so that we could try to balance it out. But we certainly want to make sure that we have these day meetings for the students. But I'll make a motion that we have one night meeting in March.
Mr. Fronte, if I can clarify that for staff purposes. So you're adding the March, so technically we will have two in a calendar year, March and July. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're right on our staff. Thank you.
Any,
Yeah.
any other comments?
All right, then the superintendent would recommend approval with the amendment that was just discussed of the March meeting, also having the denotation that it would be an evening meeting. So he would recommend your approval of the meeting schedule with that amendment.
Thank you.
Excuse me, would that also be a 5:30 meeting as the July one?
That would be my motion, sir.
5:30 to start. 5:30.
Start 5:30, sir.
5:30. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying for staff purposes, Mr. Gordy.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the 2022 to 2023 Board of Education meeting schedule as presented and amended?
So moved, Bill Buchanan.
Second, Donald Smite.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All righty. Fiscal operations, Mr. Tolbert.
Yes, ma'am. First up today, we have Mr. Joe Price, our facilities planner, and Ms. Lindsay Hill with Whiting Turner with an update on the Stephen Decatur Middle School addition project and request for requisition number 7. Mr. Price and Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Ms. Colbert. Good
Welcome.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Lindsay is here with update number 7 and have a requisition for your report.
Good afternoon. In the last 30 days, we have completed the exterior masonry walls, the interior classroom walls. We've also poured the concrete for the mechanical mezzanine, the slab for the mechanical mezzanine, and the housekeeping pad. So we're getting prepared to set the equipment in there. So currently we're completing MEP rough-in, so that's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, getting that wrapped up. We did get the roofing operation, so we have half of the roof deck watertight. And then we're continuing with roof rings and the thermal barrier around the building. So the next 30 days, we'll begin the work in the courtyard. We're preparing to start the work at the band storage area for the summer work and the secure vestibule. So that's our big push for the summer. This first photo here, this is wrapping up the north wall and getting the exterior masonry. Roof decking along the roof, the roof system, so this has been complete. Like I said, we've already done the installation on top of the roof deck. Construction of the interior walls, the classrooms have been topped out. And then this is a photo of the interior MEP work, and the lines installed, and we have begun ductwork, as you can see as well. This is an update of the new electrical room addition. And then the blue skin framing around the windows. So the window blocking has been completed, and we have begun blue skin.
question.
Lindsay and Mr. Price, I've been up to the school a couple times, once with Joe, and I have to tell you, and I think somebody, I was there a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember who made the comment to me, somebody in the school that how pleased they are, but I think you need to share this comment because I very seldom hear this, and they summed it up by saying Whiting Turner's a first-class operation. So you tell your team that that's coming out of a school, because usually a school can be very critical because something's in the way or they're not getting what they need to operate the school. But I thought that was a compliment that you needed to hear. And I will also tell you, I've worked with Joe Price long enough that if there was any problem at all that would reach my level, he would share with me. I know he doesn't share everything. But I've also heard Joe Price compliment your organization, which says a lot, a whole lot. So thank you for the work you're doing, and Joe, thank you for your leadership as well.
Whiting Turner has gone above and beyond coordinating with Ms. Park, letting her know where we are, what we're doing, and asking if there's anything.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
And we're very excited on July 12th. We'll have the board up for a tour, Lindsay, so make sure that building is sparkling already and everything. You know. No pressure or anything. But okay.
Superintendent recommends approval of requisition number 7.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the Stephen Decatur Middle School addition construction requisition number 7 as presented?
John Andy, so moved.
Second, Todd Fuente.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. Next up is Mr. Joe Price with the 2022-2023 Educational Master Facilities Plans that is required to be approved by the board. It's up to the Department of Planning. Mr. Price.
Here are your exhibits is the proposed 22-23 educational facilities master plan. Each slide will require to submit the updated master plan to the Maryland Department of Planning. In this year's plan, we've updated the enrollment section to reflect the actual September 21 enrollment and our projections through 2031. Reported our progress on the construction of Stephen Decatur Middle School addition and the start of the Buckingham Elementary School. Beginning on page 108, we've identified all recently completed projects and future projects, including closeout of the Shell Elementary Replacement School, roof replacement project at Pocomoke Middle, the addition of Decatur Middle, and future roof projects at Snow Hill Middle and Pocomoke Elementary. And the superintendent recommends for approval of the 22-23 master plan and authorization to approve the plan to the Maryland Department.
Before the board does that, Joe, you did a phenomenal job with this plan. If the board's reviewed it, it's a huge document. It's a lot of work that goes in, a lot of hours, and thank you for all your hard work on that, Mr. Price.
I just want to echo what Mr. Tolbert said. It's 162 pages long.
We're not going to read it right now. It's okay.
I read it. I read it. And on page 13, I have to talk to you about something. But I just wanted to echo what Mr. Tolbert said. To put that facilities master plan together is a tremendous lift. It takes a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort, especially when you have to get other agencies to send you letters that says, yes, we agree with your numbers. And then you have to continually go back and forth. So I just want to thank Mr. Price and the entire team, Mr. Price, your team, Mr. Price, for everything you did to put together the 162-page facilities master plan. And when you get a chance, please look at it because it has significant information about our school system in terms of projections of enrollment. And also, I enjoy reading the facility assessment for each of the buildings because that leads into eventually the CIP. So thank you for the great job you did.
You know, you're always talking to take all the credit of good luck for do that, but I want to thank Ms. Searing. She's the one who did all the administrative headers that we mentioned together.
Thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the 2022-2023 facilities master plan as presented?
John Andy, so moved.
Second.
Second, Bill Buchanan.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Next up is our FY 22-23 operating budget.
So they can pick you up on,
As Mr. Taylor said earlier, the county commissioners adopted our FY 22-23 operating budget, fully funded budget for 6 years in a row, which is a phenomenal record. Great job, Mr. Taylor, getting that done. Before the board adopts the budget today, I just want to take a few minutes, walk you through a brief PowerPoint, kind of highlights what's in the budget. Total revenue next year is $268,259. Of that, $101,188,605, or 81.43%, comes from county appropriations. This includes a $3,890,584 increase, or 4% for FY23. The budget also includes state aid that totals $22,287,191, or 17.93% of our budget. This includes a net increase in state aid of $488,707 for FY23. The budget also includes some other revenue of $792,000, and the majority of that other revenue is prior year fund balance of $567,000 that comes forward to balance our budget in FY20. On the expenditure side, next year our budget includes $4,025,300 in salary increases. That's a step for all eligible employees, a 4% COLA for certificated staff, and a 4.5% COLA for support staff. As Mr. Taylor said earlier, that's the largest COLA that we've received in 15 years. So I know it's much needed right now with the costs going up for everything, and I know employees really appreciate it. Health insurance next year, rates are going to stay flat, no increase, which is more good news for all of our employees. Retirement expense next year is going to increase by $37,405. Increases for bus contractors next year. We're increasing the hourly rate from $22.58 this year to $25 next year, which is over a 10% increase in the hourly rate for our bus contractors. The increase in the mileage rate is going from $1.60 to $1.62, and we're increasing the PVA rate for new buses from $20,115 to $20,920. Some other expenditure increases. We were approved for 5 new additional positions. These positions include 3 secretary positions at the schools, 1 each at Snow High School, and Stephen Decatur Middle School. 1 additional school float nurse next year is going to be included in our budget, and also 1 additional instructional technology coach. Also this year on our local budget, we had to pick up some expenses that in the previous years were restricted, on the restricted side. These includes $83,333 for mental health coordinator, $45,000 for disabled transportation, $360,000 in education cost, $138,463 in summer school expenses, $32,909 in trauma and behavioral health, $670,520 for student tutoring programs, and $165,478 in teacher salary incentive grant. So these are items that were previously funded on the state restricted side. They're now being transferred to the local state side. We got to pick capital expenses next year, we included one-time expenses of $205,000, $125,000 for the feasibility study for Buckingham Elementary School. That's our major school construction project that's upcoming next. And also $80,000 for roof design fees for the Snow Hill Middle School Cedar Chapel replacement school roof. The budget also includes $50,000 to maintain the funding for Pocomoke Middle School after school grant that we've had for the past several years. Also some blueprint restricted funds next year we're going to be receiving, $936,000 for pre-K, $779,000 for concentration of poverty. The first time we had 3 of our schools qualify for concentration of poverty grants, and the schools are Pocomoke Elementary, Pocomoke Middle, and Cedar Chapel Special School. We're also going to be receiving $103,345 for college-ready programs, $102,042 for transitional supplemental instruction, and $14,782 for National Board Certified Teachers. Any questions on what's included in the FY23 budget? No? Okay. Good.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Vince, you do such a great job. We don't have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fronte. I appreciate that.
It's true.
You and your staff.
Thank you. So if there's no questions, the board has a 2-page revenue and expenditure summary. by category. That includes what I just went over. The superintendent recommends approval of the FY23 budget as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Tolbert.
You're welcome.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the FY23 operating budget?
So moved, Board Order. Second, Thomas Mike.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed.
Thank
Onward to our monthly financial report.
Yes, ma'am. The monthly report for the month of May with non-salary expenditures totaling $4,570,216.55. The superintendent recommends approval of the financial report for the month of May as presented.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the May 31st, 2022 monthly financial report as presented? Second.
Bill Gordy, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed.
Thank you very much. That concludes fiscal operations. Back to you, Ms. McComas.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tolbert. Our upcoming board meeting, the next regular Worcester County Board of Education meeting will be held Tuesday, July 12th in the board meeting room at Worcester County Board of Education Central Office here. Open session will begin at 5:30 p.m. It will be a night meeting to immediately consider voting to convene into closed session. Under General Provisions, Article 3305B of the Annotated Code of Maryland, the board will reconvene in open session at 6 p.m. Board meeting information will be posted on our website, located under Board Meeting Board Docs. Informational items, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. McComas. As all of you know, or were aware from our last meeting, our Eastern Shore Leadership Conference will be held tomorrow at Chesapeake College, beginning at 8:30. I will be meeting Mr. Smack, Mrs. McComas, and Mr. Ferrante at Stephen Decatur High School tomorrow morning at 6:45. We need to leave it, so that's early for some of you retired
Yes, it
folks, I
is.
understand. But we've got to leave, we should leave there around 6:45. Mr. Gordy and Mr. Buchanan, Mr. Tolbert will pick you up tomorrow or meet you at a location. Check with him before you leave today where you're meeting and times. He will give you that. And Dr. Andes, you will meet us up there, am I correct?
We'll meet you up there.
That is Dr. Andes' last official event as a chairperson of our ESMEC group. So that will be tomorrow. It should be over before 3 o'clock, and then we will head back home after that. Second announcement, as Mr. Tolbert alluded to a little earlier, our next board meeting is an evening meeting. So I have arranged with Mr. Price and Whiting Turner and Stephen Decatur Middle School staff a tour of the new constructed area. So we will meet at Stephen Decatur Middle School at 2:45 on July 12th. Remember, that is a week earlier because we have to get our hires in prior to July 15th. So the month of July, we meet the second Tuesday of the month. And again, that's a change from our normal date and also a different time than we're used to. So again, 2:45, I will have Dawn send out a text as it gets close to remind you where we will be meeting. Ms. Shorts tomorrow will be, we have 3 days of school improvement going on. She's been running back and forth, her and Dr. Wallace this morning. Ms. Shorts is going to stay with our school improvement teams tomorrow, will not be able to attend, and Dr. Wallace and Dr. App will be also joining us for the leadership conference tomorrow. I believe that's all my announcements.
Okay, thank you. Before we forget, go ahead.
Okay, before we forget, everyone, please make sure you turn in your iPads today before you leave. If you have questions about that, see Ms. Shorts or Dr. Wallace. I only know how to say iPads. Okay? I don't know what you're supposed to do with them, but turn them in.
Turn them in.
That's right.
Exactly.
So you can see them before you leave today. So,
All right.
thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, Madam President, just thanks again to Strong Schools for your support. Thanks again for our wonderful certificate. We'll put that right up on there.
We have an invitation we're going to bring up to the
Okay, thank you so much. Well, thanks again for your
Thank
support.
you both. Thank you. All righty. Can I have a motion and a second to adjourn the open session?
Motion. Second.
All in Any opposed? Motion passed. We are adjourned.